Welcome to Homemaking with Mima. My name is Wendy, and in today's video, I'm going to bring you some freezer meals. So in this video, you're going to see repeat meals that we've eaten before, actual freezer meals that I have done. We tend to eat kind of the same things. Why not eat what you like? Then you're not spending extra money on things that you're not really sure if your family's going to eat or not, especially in today's economy. There seems to be some struggles. I'm just taking it not taking it, seriously, even though people are probably going to tell me that I should. I'm just not going to let it bother me. I don't want to let it steal my joy. So what I'm going to bring you are some freezer meals that I have done before. They are repeat, and I hope you enjoy. So the first thing I am going to do is I need to get all this burger cooked up. And the best way to do it is in my roaster. I've done it before. I've shown it in other videos. I've got 7 of my 1 1/3 chubs here. I'm gonna get them all in here, get it all cooked up. Once it's cooked up, I'm gonna pull some out to make taco meat. The rest of it, I'm going to combine it with onions, green pepper, whatever I've got. I've got some things down in the freezer downstairs that I know that needs to be used up. I'm gonna use it up with the rest of the burger I don't make into taco meat. I'm not gonna bring you along and talk to you about this whole process. You've seen me do it before. I might throw a little clip here and there, of how it's going, but it's just basically cooking up the burger. Making the taco meat here now. I got the burgers all cooked. I threw in some onion and some green pepper to use that up. And I made some homemade taco seasoning because I'm out of mine. I just went on Pinterest. And we'll get it cooked up. Just gonna cook up the rest of this hamburger now with the rest of that green pepper that I had and the onion. It's not much, but at least I'm using it up. And it'll have some flavor anyway. I'm gonna cook this up for, well, the onion and the pepper are frozen, so I got it at about 250 and maybe 10-15 minutes. So the hamburger is all cooked. I got 4 meals for tacos. I filled my bags, 2 of the bags, a lot fuller for like leftovers. And these 2 are just the hamburger cooked up with the bell pepper and the onions and the seasoning. I will make future like tater tot hot dish, maybe goulash. We'll see what I get out of it. I just wanted to get this prep work done because there's always such cleanup afterwards. So this part is done. This is what I mean by cleanup. That's all clean, drying. I still have all this, some greasy dishes and all that. So, yep, cleanup is just as important as getting it all done. So I am finally going to make lasagna for the freezer. So I grabbed the ingredients for that, the noodles, that Rao's pasta sauce, a thing of diced tomatoes, that lasagna filling that I had made with the cottage cheese, some mozzarella, and some Italian seasoning, I believe, and a couple eggs. I have some extra mozzarella cheese here I took out of the freezer. I have these Colby Jack cheese slices. I'm going to throw them in there too. And the ground venison. I only brought up one. I need two. So this has to thaw out. So I can't do it today. So I plan on doing it, I think, tomorrow. But I just thought I'd get the start of this one going. I'm slowly going to get some freezer meals put into my upright freezer. So I have all my ingredients here for the lasagna that I'm going to make. I've got the venison, the lasagna, petite diced tomatoes, that Rao's sauce that I'm going to use, and then I also strained the spaghetti squash, or the summer squash. I'm only going to use one of the bags. And I also, you don't see it here, but I am going to be putting some of the Hunt's garlic and herb sauce on the very final part of the lasagna. But I've got the meat and the sauce all mixed together, and I'm putting the grated summer squash in there with it. I don't think we're going to even know that it's in there. I could have actually used the second bag, but I only had the one thawed out, so that is the only one that I used. I've got my water to a boil, or it's going to come to a boil, and I've got the lasagna noodles. I'm going to get ready to throw them in once it comes to a complete boil. Then I'm getting the mixture together. I've got that mixture of the cottage cheese, the Italian seasoning, the 2 eggs, and a little bit of mozzarella cheese, that mixture that I made quite a while ago. And I'm going to get that into a bowl, get it all mixed up, because when it froze, it kind of separated a little bit. So I'm going to get that all mixed up, and then I'm going to get ready to assemble the lasagna once the noodles are done. For the assembly, as any other lasagna, you start out with your sauce or your meat sauce, then your noodles, then your ricotta cheese if you use that. I'm using the cottage cheese mixture, and you just put it in layers. And I'm also using some of that Colby Jack cheese that I had frozen. I only had enough for one layer, but at least I'm using it up. I am using what I have, and that's what's important. And you'll just see that I continue the layers until I get it completed. So now to get the parchment on there, I always spray my parchment, especially if there's cheese on there. I try to remember to put parchment on all my freezer meals. I don't always remember to do it, but I do try if there's going to be cheese on there. And if you spray it, then it helps prevent that cheese from sticking to that parchment, at least at 99% of the time. But you're going to see how I get it all put together with the foil, and then I do 3 layers of the saran wrap, and then I just get it labeled and get it ready for the freezer. So after getting it all prepped for the freezer, I get my labels on there. And so now I have one for the freezer. The other one you're going to see, I put it in the refrigerator, and we're going to be eating it tomorrow for our supper because we haven't had lasagna for a really long time. And we were all really craving it. So there it is. Okay, so my next freezer meal that I'm going to make is I'm going to make some tater tot hot dish. I've shown you that before, but I'll just go through the video. I'm going to use up this canned hamburger. It's from 2023, so I'm going to use 2 of them. I've got a bag and a half of tater tots. That should be enough. I've got 2 cans of cream of mushroom soup, 2 cans of cream of chicken. I usually like using the cream of mushroom, but I'm going to substitute if I need it more creamier with the cream of chicken. And then I'm going to thaw this. This is that pre-cooked hamburger that I did earlier. I had froze the 2 packages, and I'm going to make sloppy joe. So I'm going to thaw this out the best that I can and get this mixed up. It's already pre-cooked, so once I get it thawed out enough so that I can mix the manwich mix in with it, then I can freeze it in quart-sized bags for meals. So this is going to be 2 more freezer meals. And I'm going to be using some of the older mozzarella cheese that I had shown earlier and for the cheesy part of the tater tot hot dish. And just showing you that we're still eating pretty much almost everything out of our pantries and freezers. So here's some of the empty jars that we've used, and swung you around here, just showing you that it really hasn't diminished much. I do need to make some more spaghetti sauce. I only have 1 left, but it comes in handy, these meals in the jars. I really like having it. And I haven't done any big stock up yet. I've done just very, very little. I believe I had shown that earlier with some Kleenex and things like that. But I'm just now going to be starting to do some stock up so that I can have a good sufficient pantry so that come gardening season, when I want to try and get that going, I can focus on that and not have to worry much about doing stock up. I'll just have regular grocery hauls for that. So when I use the canned hamburger, I do can it in either water or a beef broth. So I do have to strain it. So I'm going to strain these 2 very carefully here. I have to use a mesh strainer because the hamburger is so fine. So I'll let the liquid strain out here, and then I'll get it into a main bowl, and I can start making the filling for the tater tot hot dish. I make my tater tot hot dish different every single time, but I try to use somewhat of the same ingredients: cream of mushroom soup, sour cream, hamburger, cheese, and tater tots. Sometimes I'll add in extras like the cream of chicken. And for today's seasoning, I am going to use some Lawry's salt just because it needs to get used up. It's about this full and we don't use it that often. So I am just going to, I'm going to eyeball it. So it's going to be probably about a teaspoon of the Lawry's salt. Get that mixed in with the burger. Now if I have any of this left over, if I can't get quite two pans made out of it, I use the same concoction, is what I'm gonna call it. Doesn't sound very professional, but for like a hamburger helper, homemade hamburger helper. So if I have any of it left over, I will freeze the meat mixture and use it for a homemade hamburger helper. I'm gonna try and get 2 pans. We'll see how many tater tots I have. Might even just get one. I don't measure the sour cream. I just give it a good eyeballing of that as well. Need to get a different spoon for that. That was a good, probably 3 heaping tablespoons full. And I think that's gonna be enough for that. And then the cheese is still partially frozen. I'm gonna break off what I can get in here to get it mixed up in here with it. So I've got the amount of cheese that I want in there. It was still kind of frozen, so I had to kind of work at it to get it out. But I've got it all here in the bowl. And I think I'm gonna put a little bit more Lawry's salt for seasoning because I added all that stuff. So there's that. I didn't use that second cream of chicken. I don't think I'm gonna need it. So I'll just get this all mixed together. And once I get it mixed together, then I'm going to see how many tater tots that I have, because I have these 2 dishes that I'm hoping to fill and have this many tater tots. So we will see. Okay, everything's mixed up. See how many pans I can actually get out of this. I'm gonna make one first. If I have enough for another one, then I'll make that as well. Usually I'll bake my tater tots ahead of time for about 10 minutes in the oven. I don't know, it's just something that I've seen done, and I've done it quite a bit. Doesn't seem to make much of a difference, but we like to have a lot of tater tots with the tater tot hot dish. So I put a layer down on the bottom, then put the filling, and then put more tater tots on top. So I know that this amount of tater tots, because we like tots in our thing, is only going to be enough to make this smaller casserole. So I went and got that and sprayed it. And if you've seen that, I had a lot of ice on the table earlier. It was from these potatoes that are in the bag. I try not to put that in there with it. So I was throwing it on the table. There's a lot in the bag. So this casserole will be enough for 2 people, no leftovers. Okay, so here are the 2 tater tot hot dish freezer meals. Gonna package it the same way that I did my lasagna earlier. Parchment paper, a little bit of spray on it, because more than likely when I take this out, I might sprinkle some cheese on it. So this way, if I sprinkle cheese on it, then the cheese isn't going to stick to the parchment paper. 2 more freezer meals for my freezer. And I am going to take this and put it in the refrigerator. And I'm going to cook up some noodles tomorrow, and I'm going to make some homemade hamburger helper for the freezer meal, because I have plenty there for probably 2 small casseroles. Okay, for the next freezer meal, I'm going to do the manwich. This was the can that needed to be used. I thought out that cooked hamburger to the best of my ability. We're just gonna get that in there, get it mixed up, and get it into freezer bags, and then get it frozen. I'm not gonna cook it with it right now. It'll cook when I take it out, when we actually eat it. My bags, I pre-labeled them. I wrote Slop Joe and then the month and the year. We're gonna get them into the bags. I'm thinking I'm gonna get 3 good meals out of this. We'll see. There we go. We got 3 meals of Sloppy Joe as well today. All right, so here are some of the freezer meals that I've made. I've made 2 lasagnas. We are going to be eating one tonight. I've made a large tater tot hot dish and a smaller tater tot hot dish. I've made 3 meals of Sloppy Joe, and I also used up, over here on the side of me here is that basket. There was some manwich that needed to get used up. I used it up, so here it is. I have some leftover base of the tater tot hot dish, so I'm going to just cook up some elbow noodles, mix that together with it, put it probably in a couple smaller baking dishes, and freeze that as well. So I'll probably have 2 more smaller dishes of freezer meals. And I'm not going to bring you along with that because I brought you along for when I made the actual base, and all I'm doing is cooking the noodles and then wrapping it up. So I have a total of, so I have the one upstairs we're going to eat, so I won't count that one. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have, I'm going to make that homemade hamburger helper, so that's 7, 8. So I will have 8 freezer meals banked in my freezer for future meals coming up here for the spring when garden season's coming. This may even be eaten up before, I can guarantee the Sloppy Joe's not going to be eaten up before that. But these may be eaten up before the spring. I don't know. It all just depends on what's going on in our life. I want to thank you so much for joining me. If you like this kind of content, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and if you're subscribed to the channel, hit that notification bell and it's going to prompt you to new videos coming out. And I want you folks to make it a really great day.